I'll give you the truth why I'm not Speaker. It's because one person, a member of Congress, wanted me to stop an ethics complaint because he slept with a 17-year-old. An ethics complaint that started before I ever became Speaker, and that's illegal, and I'm not going to get in the middle. Did he do it or not? I don't know. But ethics is looking at it. There's other people in jail because of it. And he wanted me to influence it.
Kevin McCarthy still clearly super salty, super bitter about Matt Gaetz and the fact that he led the charge in ousting Kevin McCarthy from his speakership role. Soon after that, of course, Kevin McCarthy didn't even finish his term and stepped down from Congress entirely. Now, during an event at Georgetown University, he repeated the allegations that Gaetz slept with a teenager and wanted McCarthy to kill the ethics investigation into those claims. And I want to be clear, so far, based on what we know, these are allegations. We don't know if they're entirely true. So the ethics investigation apparently had continued. And I want to remind you about the details of that investigation. So they had opened the probe in 2021 when Nancy Pelosi was Speaker. The House investigation was paused when Gaetz was investigated by the US Department of Justice for sex trafficking over allegations that he paid for sex and had sex with an underage woman. In December of 2022, Joel Greenberg, a former Florida tax collector whose arrest led to the investigation of Gaetz, was sentenced to 11 years in prison for offenses including sex trafficking a minor.
Pausing here to deliver some honest truth as we do in our news coverage as well. TYT is facing challenges, guys, as the entire industry is. You know who could make the difference? You. If you hit the join button below, it's gonna make all the difference and keep us in business. We appreciate you, thank you.
In February of 2023, prosecutors said that they would not issue charges against Matt Gaetz. So the charges were, or the investigation was dropped at that point. And then at that point, the House ethics investigation was restarted, okay? Now, this topic came up during the Georgetown event, which we showed you some footage of, because McCarthy was incensed that the interviewer had claimed that he made a lot of concessions during his fight to keep the speakership role, or honestly, to get voted into the speakership role.
He did.
I mean, yeah, he absolutely did. So
obviously,
McCarthy is salty about that question, or the framing of that question. He should maybe look back onto the terrible decisions he made in his quest for power, right? Like his quest for that speakership role. So he tried to prove him wrong, McCarthy did. He tried to prove the questioner wrong by citing what he believes were Matt Gaetz's real motivations. Reporting from the Daily Beast earlier this year backed McCarthy up though. According to private correspondence reviewed by the Daily Beast, Gaetz indicated to a friend that his effort to undercut, isolate, and ultimately remove McCarthy was indeed payback for the ethics probe. Other Republican congressional sources claim that Gaetz also acknowledged his revenge motive behind closed doors. In one instance, over the summer, Gaetz relayed to a group of colleagues that his push to remove McCarthy was a direct response to the ethics investigation. He specifically blamed McCarthy for the return of the probe, according to two sources familiar with the investigation. And unsurprisingly, Gaetz has denied this and responded to McCarthy's comments defiantly, writing on X, Kevin McCarthy is a liar, that's why he's no longer Speaker. Just ask the 224 people who voted to remove him. So John, thoughts on all of this?
It's just like, okay, so that last, if we could put up the tweet again. Like, so Matt Gaetz won in that. So I get that he feels like he's the big man or whatever, he won. But like his argument is, he's a liar. That's why he's not a speaker. Just ask the 224 people who voted to remove him. Yeah, but okay, a lot of people voted to remove him. That doesn't prove he's a liar. In this particular case, why don't you ask the sources that have been talking to all these outlets and saying that you're going around bragging about that's why you did it. Again, all of this is allegations, but I think that's why he did it. And honestly, it might not be. The only way to get to the bottom of it is to have an ethics investigation.
Right.
Of the fact that he apparently got rid of this guy because of the ethics investigation. I think that we need cyclical, fractal ethics investigations. Anyway, look, we can point out that Kevin McCarthy is salty, and he is, but he should be, I guess. I mean, look, the irony to me is, I think this is why they brought up the effort to kick him out. But like you've seen what's been going on over the last month or two between Marjorie Greene and Mike Johnson. They would have ended up kicking him out for something else.
Yeah,
Kevin McCarthy,
totally.
literally, it is an impossible task. You can't hold it forever, so he was gonna lose it.
I mean, look at what's happening with Mike Johnson right now, right? Because the same new rules that applied to Kevin McCarthy, those concessions that applied to Kevin McCarthy now apply to Mike Johnson. And so Mike Johnson is basically carrying out the desires of Donald Trump. And today that actually ended up being a benefit to the American people because Donald Trump, due to the fact that the feds spied in on Carter Page during his 2016 election, wanted Republicans to avoid reauthorizing FISA, and Republicans scrapped it. They're not going to reauthorize FISA, which is good, but obviously Trump pursued that for his own self-interest. Nonetheless,
just like with the border bill.
Just like with the border bill.
It's amazing that these incredibly long-standing things that they want, they love FISA or whatever, and they certainly want the border bill. Oh, Donald Trump said not to. Oh, okay, well, whatever. It's amazing how he can make them pivot. But again, so Trump is kind of the speaker in reality, and if not, Marjorie Greene kind of is the speaker. She has a lot of influence over this.
Oh, it's so depressing.
Mike Johnson is probably going to be knocked out too, and then maybe he'll be months later doing interviews about how Marjorie Greene screwed him over.
It's just.
And it'll be
so
true.
Sad.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see how it plays out. But look, I don't feel satisfied with the whole Matt Gaetz thing, right? I don't know why the DOJ dropped their investigation. Matt Gaetz has an influential father who was a politician in Florida. I don't know if he had something to do with it, but either way, those are some serious allegations, and now those allegations seem to be floating around with no real closure.
Yeah, I hate it.
And we need closure.
100%.
Closure for everyone. I mean, if Matt Gaetz is innocent, he should get that closure.
Yeah.
And if he's not innocent, I think the American people deserve to know that.
Yeah, especially because right now, and I'll be brief, it's sort of floating around as, like, it's always amazing when the right takes up these positions. They're like, this is who we are, and then that exact thing happens, and they have no interest. Like they'll talk for years about how the left is censorious. They're burning books. Dave Rubin, don't burn my book, and then they start banning and burning books. Or they're the QAnon people. Everyone is trafficking children. Everyone, Tom Hanks, Chrissy Teigen, they're all trafficking and or eating children. And then Matt Gaetz has all of this unexplained evidence against him. They're not interested at all. They don't care at all. And maybe they shouldn't be because maybe it's not true, but I would like to at least know.
Thanks for watching. If you become a member, you get to watch all this ad-free, except for, of course, this ad. Still, hit the join button below.